Watch out! This episode contains spoilers for Rise of the Beasts. Rise of the Beasts is in cinemas now, and that's my cue to finally do an episode you've all been requesting for a long time. These are the basics on the movie's leading bot, the Autobot illusion caster, Mirage. The toy that would become the original Mirage was first released as part of the Japanese toy line Diaclone in 1983, and was imported by Hasbro to become part of the first year of the Transformers toy line in 1984. The figure transformed into the Ligier JS11, a unique, real-life French Formula One race car, complete with modified versions of the actual car's sponsor decals for Gitain cigarettes and the Elf Petroleum Company. A profile for Mirage was written by Marvel Comics writer Bob Budiansky, which characterized him as the Autobot's counterintelligence specialist. A former member of Cybertron's aristocracy who longed to return to the planet, he was a skilled but reluctant fighter, not fully committed to the Autobot cause, and as a result, not fully trusted by his teammates. According to this profile, Mirage was equipped with an electro-disruptor, which could scramble the senses of other robots, allowing him to appear to be places he wasn't, or even altering the way he looked by causing them to see things that weren't there, hence his name. However, most Transformers media would depict Mirage's powers differently to the way Budiansky described. Multiple stories in the Transformers cartoon, comic book, and more showed him actually turning invisible and generating holographic images, as opposed to only making his enemies think they were seeing these things happen by directly disrupting their electronic senses. Despite this inconsistent presentation of his powers, Mirage was a prominent character in some of the earliest Transformers stories. He had a notable role in the original 4-issue comic book miniseries from Marvel, in which his doubts about the Autobot cause led him to wonder if he was on the wrong side, until repeated clashes with the Decepticon Ravage convinced him that fighting alongside the Autobots was the right choice. Sadly, he never got to do very much in the comic again after this, though he did feature in some of the early original stories written for the United Kingdom's version of the series, including one in which an electric shock temporarily supercharged his illusion casting abilities. Mirage also had a key role in the pilot miniseries for the Transformers cartoon, which saw him stop the Decepticons from returning to Cybertron by using his powers to sneak aboard their space cruiser and send it crashing into the ocean. Mirage would continue to appear regularly throughout the show's first 2 seasons, and enjoyed another spotlight adventure in the episode Traitor, which centered on the lack of trust the other Autobots had in him. The episode saw Mirage attempt to trick the Decepticons into turning against one another, only to be caught in the act and fall under the mental control of the Insecticon Bombshell. The villains used the mind-controlled Mirage to lure the other Autobots into a trap, convincing the suspicious Cliffjumper, who already didn't trust him, that Mirage really had turned traitor. Significantly, Mirage almost never used his hologram abilities in the cartoon. Probably because his fellow Autobot Hound could create holograms too, and it would have been pretty redundant for the show to feature 2 Autobots with the same power. Instead, the cartoon focused on invisibility alone as Mirage's signature special power, which has sometimes led fans raised on the cartoon to react with confusion when Mirage has used his hologram abilities in modern media. Mirage's toy was discontinued in 1986, and the character was quietly phased out of both the comic and cartoon. He would briefly return in the comic a few years later, but was taken out of action again soon after, just one of many Autobots deactivated by Starscream after he acquired cosmic power. No further toys of Mirage were released in the original series, but when the 1990s rolled around, he returned with a small GoBot figure in the Generation 2 toy line in 1995, and a figure with a spring-loaded one-step transformation in 1997's Machine Wars. After that, as the 21st century approached, Hasbro began a lengthy period of reusing Mirage's name, keeping their trademark on it active by applying it to multiple new characters who mostly also transformed into Formula 1 style race cars. The first of these new Mirages was introduced in 1999's Beast Machines toy line. He was one of the evil Vehicons created by Megatron, and was an unintelligent prankster with the power of teleportation. The Generation 2 GoBot figure was recolored to create another new Mirage for 2001's Robots in Disguise, a talented marksman, bodyguard and spy who was a member of the Autobot ninja team, the Spy Changers. This bot originated in Japan as a new character named Counter Arrow, but he was renamed Mirage when the series was imported to Hasbro markets. The rename was an appropriate one, as the Robots in Disguise cartoon included a spotlight episode for the character in which he made his teammates think he had turned traitor so that he could infiltrate Megatron's ranks and sabotage his newest weapons project. Later in the toy line, the Beast Machines Mirage figure was recolored to create Mirage GT, a new form for the Robots in Disguise character. The Mirage introduced in 2002's Transformers Armada was a Minicon, part of the race team, who combined with his comrades Dirtboss and Downshift to form the powerful Skyboom Shield. Mirage and his team appeared in both the Armada cartoon and comic, but they spent most of their time in the cartoon in combined form. The comic gave Mirage a bigger, more individual role, characterizing him as a once cowardly bot who now stood up to injustice wherever he found it, who rebelled against tyrannical Minicon leader Dualore to help the Autobots save the life of their human friend, Rad White. Notably, the comic harkened back to the original character by giving this Mirage the power of invisibility. Armada's 2004 sequel, Transformers Energon, featured its own Mirage, but this was a much more random use of the name. In this series, the Decepticon Tidal Wave changed his name to Mirage after being upgraded into a new gunboat form. Check out the basics on Tidal Wave for the full story on him. Another strange case was the 2011 live-action movie Dark of the Moon, which introduced a cocky, Italian-accented Autobot who transformed into a Ferrari 458. Because Hasbro didn't have the license to produce official Ferrari merchandise, and because Ferrari didn't want a character based on their car to be labelled with a Hasbro trademark, this bot wound up being given two different names. In the film itself, he was named Dino, after company founder Enzo Ferrari's son. But for tie-in media and merchandise, Hasbro named him Mirage, and depicted him as possessing invisibility and illusion powers like the original, which he didn't use in the film. In later years, Hasbro would switch to using the Dino name, though to date they still haven't been able to produce a toy of the character with an authentic Ferrari alternate mode. In and amongst all these new and alternate takes on the character, the original Mirage hasn't been forgotten. Over the years, he's received multiple new toys, including several invisibility-themed ones made of see-through plastic, plus appearances in media like comic books and video games, the most memorable of which tend to play up his uncertain loyalties and the suspicion with which his fellow Autobots regard him. His most notable comic book adventures have been in stories from IDW Publishing, chief among them a 2008 self-titled Spotlight one-shot, in which Mirage had a vision of what his life might have been like if he had joined the Decepticons instead of the Autobots. Other significant IDW storylines for Mirage included All Hail Megatron, which saw him once again wrongly suspected of being a traitor who had sold out the Autobots after the heroes suffered a devastating defeat, and Combiner Wars, published in conjunction with the release of a new Mirage figure in the 2015 toy line of the same name, in which another Vision led Mirage on an adventure that resulted in him and a team of his fellow Autobots acquiring the power to merge with Optimus Prime into the giant robot Optimus Maximus. Multiple new toys of Mirage were released as part of the War for Cybertron trilogy, including a Cybertronian mode figure in 2019's Siege, and an Earth mode figure in 2021's Kingdom. The figures inspired Mirage's return to TV screens in Netflix's tie-in cartoon, using his illusion powers to deceive and disorient the Decepticons as the Autobots battled them for possession of the life-giving Allspark. At one point, he used his abilities to disguise himself as a Decepticon in a failed attempt to infiltrate a group of the villains, a scene that inspired a recolor of the Siege figure in this Decepticon disguise paint job. And of course, most recently, 2023 has seen Mirage finally, truly hit the big screen with a new live-action incarnation of the character being introduced in Rise of the Beasts, voiced by comedian Pete Davidson. Though he possessed the classic character's illusion powers, this Mirage was quite unlike the original in most other respects, being a smart-mouthed, rebellious young Autobot who loved life on Earth. Plus, rather than a Formula 1 car, he transformed into a Porsche 964. He befriended the human Noah Diaz after Noah tried to steal him while he was in vehicle mode, and after he was badly damaged battling TerrorCon leader Scourge at the film's climax, Mirage converted his damaged body into an exosuit for Noah so the pair could take on the villain together. It's quite possible this new screen stardom could lead to bigger roles for Mirage in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for further appearances. But be sure to look closely, because when it comes to Mirage, you can never be sure that what you're seeing is what's really there. And those are the basics on Mirage. Did you enjoy him in the new movie? Which of the other bots to bear his name is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. I've got more Rise of the Beasts inspired episodes coming later this month, so don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss them.